Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks and welcome back to my favourite time of the month. And so in this session I'm just going to have a look at the episodes 28 to 35 and who are the fascinating people that I interviewed this month. A really interesting cross-section, a lot of diversity and yet some similarities of experiences. So, episode 28, Alderman Sir Peter Estlin, who was previously the Lord Mayor of London last year. Catherine Baird from Dubai, the Senior Vice President of Emirates Cabin Crew Training. Chris Wakerley, KPMG partner, former KPMG partner, business owner and Army Colonel in 2nd Division Signal Regiment. Nousheh Paris, the VP from American Express. Lieutenant General Sir James Bashall, CBE, Commander, Advisor and now Sailor around the world. Mike Still, Chairman of YPO Scotland and in multiple NED roles as well as the insurance business. The current Lord Mayor of London, William Russell. Stefan Barden, Advisor, Portfolio NED and CEO of various businesses when I coached him before. And then this review. So what have I been doing this month? I've been away, and while I was away I was reading a lot. And there's that interesting quote, all leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. Say that after a few drinks. And I actually have read through and listened to 10 books. As you know, being someone who's getting over that challenge of finding listening much easier than reading, a number of these I listened to. First one, Stand Up Straight by Major General Paul Nanson. Thoroughly recommend it. It's packed with advice and it's linked to the Royal Military Academy scientist and Paul's very impressive career, but really the advice that they would give you at military training. Gut Reactions by Joshua and Erica Sonnenberg. All about the microbiome and the right kind of foods for you to live a long and healthy life and how to feed the good gut bacteria. Lifespan by Dr. David Sinclair, living beyond 100 and having a long and healthy life where your health span matches your lifespan. The End of Alzheimer's by Dale Bredesen. And this I read with advice from help my mother-in-law who sadly has got Alzheimer's. But also it's advice for us all, and read it carefully and study it. One I'm midway through at the moment, GCHQ by Richard Aldrich, fascinating, about spying, about eavesdropping, and links back to my days when I was a captain in the Royal Signals in 14 Electronic Warfare Signal Regiment, working back to GCHQ. So that is really interesting, well worth a read. Talking to Strangers, another Malcolm Gladwell book, how to see other people differently and how you think you know the full story but you really don't understand some of the way that people see each other differently and the judgments that they make. Rebel Ideas, The Power of Diverse Thinking by Mathew Syed, and again a bit of a link over to the other book and about cognitive diversity, found that very interesting. Thinking Outside the Inbox by my good friend Roger Steare, who's been on the podcast before. A collection of his great blogs to make you really think. And also, great news for Roger, he's just been asked to become an FT columnist, and that is a huge compliment to him. The 9th book I read was Peter the Great by Robert Mass, and the history of Russia from 1680 to about 1725, and how Peter turned around Russia from being incredibly backward to be very Western facing and also very successful in some of its campaigns and wars. And finally, a shortish history of Germany by James Hawes, fascinating about the two-headed eagles and how it actually looks both east and west and what's caused problems over its history from way back from the Roman times to today's date of what's going on and how a crucial role Germany plays in our history and our lives. So let's have a quick skim through some of the points that each of them brought up, which I found so very interesting. Firstly, Sir Peter Estlin, Alderman Sir Peter Estlin, the previous Lord Mayor of London. He sees his world with 4 pillars: his family, his personal side, his civic duties and his business career. And he's found that, getting older doesn't mean you have to slow down. In fact, he is accelerating his life, not slowing down. His tip, ask for forgiveness, not for permission. Don't de-risk too much. Do take appropriate risks. Think about it. The other thing, in some ways, we're often proving to parents who are alive or dead, in his case, proving to his father that he could succeed. He found that he was very competitive, and he often would wonder, what would my mother say? He looks back and said some of his mistakes. Maybe he apologized when arrogant and he crossed the other side of the line because he was very determined, but sometimes that could be seen as arrogant. And he'd learnt to use more bridging techniques rather than being so assertive all the time. And we talked about livery companies like the Goldsmiths company that I'm part of, and he said it's crucial for it to balance legacy with relevance. Anything that's got history, it's still got to be highly relevant today. His top tip, what's your vision and purpose, and what do you want to do? How to communicate the vision and ignite the fires in others so they come with you, and inject passion, energy and vision so that everybody can contribute by their own passion and energy. Catherine Baird, fascinating, the Senior Vice President, Emirates Cabin Crew Training, looking after 22,000 people from 140 nationalities based in Dubai. And she, like myself, really enjoys Sir Ken Robinson and his TED Talks, talking about environmental or climate control, not command and control, and this being a gardener, not a puppet master in the way you lead. And lovely comment that if a flower is not blooming, you don't fix the flower, you fix the environment. So think about the environment you're in. Top tip about great customer service, and not treating others as you'd like to be treated, but find out how they want to be treated. And people don't often think about that. They think about it from their own perspective. No one ever asks, please micromanage me, so don't over micromanaging people. And don't talk over people in meetings, but equally don't talk over people in your own head. And think about what's the question I need to ask, not what's the statement I need to make. Chris Wakerley, from a REME aircraft technician to Royal Signals colonel to a consulting business owner, KPMG partner, and now data science consultancy founder. Learning from quite a few mistakes. In the army, we said that counselling was given. In other words, they were taken round and given a bit of a shouting at, which isn't the way to do it. Mistake, he thinks, looking back, don't second guess people because it disenfranchises them. And I was wrong. I tried to force a solution and I lost capital with my people. His second tip is you get the people you deserve. There is a shortage of good people. And the leadership climate you create is crucial because they don't need you, you need them. He thought under pressure he didn't listen enough to the quieter people, and beware of the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion. Nousheh Paris, the eldest of 4 children, grew up in Iran, fascinating story there. People who showed her kindness when she moved as an immigrant into this country. And Richard Branson, teach them so well that they can leave and treat them so well that they'll stay. James Bashall, advisor, commander and sailor, his training with the paras when we trained together, and his top tip, classify people, the can and will do versus the can't and won't do. Spend time in the middle to shape and improve those people. Top tip, clarity of purpose, leave a legacy, transmit and explain what you want. Big ideas get distorted at the bottom by middle managers, so watch out for that. Mike Still, chairman of YPO Scotland, he looks back and thinks he might have pushed himself a bit too hard, running too fast with unreasonable demands, and think about perspectives of different people, different ways. The Lord Mayor of London, William Russell, his mother was a great inspiration to him and said, you're very fortunate in the way you've been brought up, so make sure you give back and raise money for charity. And then finally, Stefan Barden, portfolio Ned and former CEO, and really learning from your own mistakes. I've made many, he said, and each day, look at the end of the day, what did you learn, what worked well, double up the successes, but learn from the mistakes. So that's it for this week of what we've got by way of this month's Fascinating Leaders. Bye for now.